joining Power App Solutions in Minutes. We're happy to have you. Today we're going to cover some JavaScript fundamentals, particularly around the execution context, what that means, and then also how we can derive the form context from that, and then perform some validation to be able to then produce some sort of output, right, on the client side. So we're going to go ahead and start by creating a function. And the function is going to run on load, so that's the name we'll give to it. We want to pass the execution context as the first parameter to this function. And then the other thing we want to do is instantiate the function. And then from here, I think we'll use a try-catch block. And so all of our real logic is going to happen inside of the try block. So first thing we want to do is grab that form context. So form context is equal to execution context dot get form context. And so what this is doing is we are getting the form context. Now, what does that exactly mean? That just means that when we're on a record on load, in this particular case, when we call this, what this function is going to do is it's going to be passed that execution context directly from the DataVerse. And that execution context then is something that we can leverage to get the context of the current form that we're in. With that form context, it enables us to tap into the attributes that are on that specific form at the moment in time. So if you have 100 fields on that form, you now have access to all those fields and have ability to perform all sorts of really great things based on the values of those fields and so on and so forth. This is going to be a very simple example. And then in a later video, we'll actually deploy this so that we can take a look and see how it looks, how it works. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the revenue function because we've been using that in some other videos. And so revenue on an account. So let's use the syntax for finding the value of the revenue on the account. So I've instantiated a variable called revenue. I'm going to now leverage my form context that I have to get the attribute. And the attribute I'm interested in, this is where I need to pass in the schema name of that attribute. It's called revenue. From here, I'm going to go past the parentheses in that method, and then I'm going to go ahead and say, all right, give me the value, and then I will close it out with a semicolon. So right here, we're going ahead and grab, instantiate revenue var with the current value of revenue field on the account. And then the other thing we're going to do is then do our logic, right? So we're in our try block. So let's do an if else, and our condition is going to be if revenue is greater than 100,000, then let's do some stuff. So we'll keep it simple for now, and in other videos we'll get more elaborate, but this is fundamental stuff that every Dynamics or Power Apps developer needs to know when they're writing client-side code. So I'm going to say, have a pop-up that goes and says the revenue for this account is, and then I'm going to make it dynamic by passing in revenue. Pop up. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a console.log and do the similar concept. The revenue for this account is show the value in the developer console of the browser. And for our else, we'll say, obviously if revenue is not greater than 100,000, then we'll just say the revenue is not greater than 100,000, and the current value is that, right? Okay. So we have something scalable there. And then right here, what I want to do is I don't want to use the out of the box kind of error checking or handling. I want to make it a little bit more customized and easier to read. So I'm going to go ahead and do a console log. And I'm going to say the error message produced by this event is error. And so then I look at all my code, I check to see if all my parameters here are right, that I've semicolons in everywhere that I need to have it. At face value, it looks good. So here we have an onload function that we'll use in a later video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that that this helps a lot of developers understand how quick you can set up and pass execution context to a function, and then leverage formContext to tap into the database and do all sorts of amazing things.